Today we're going to talk about how to get punchy low-end kick in any DAW. Let's go. Hi, my name is Steve Collins for The Secrets to MusicSuccess.com, and today I'm going to give you 5 elements or 5 important keys to look at when you're trying to get that kick to punch through, when you're trying to get that low end to be really punchy and really hit you really hard, you know. And the cool thing is, I wanted to make sure this video is very clear for any DAW. You can use these tips. These tips have been around for decades, you know, ever since the even before the digital recording age, you know, these keys have been used by mixing engineers and producers and anybody who's in the music industry, and professional music industry knows these little keys. So you will too in a minute. So, okay, so number 1 is EQ everything out of that frequency. So the frequency for a kick, drum, and that real punch kind of sound is anywhere between, I'd probably say like 50, 60 is right where it hits, but anywhere from that, all that low end, 40, 50, 30, 40 is where you kind of hear it, feel it more than you hear it. So, you know, going up from 40, 50, 60, you start to hear it, I should say. And then, you know, up to 120, 100, and, you know, up to 200 about. So those are the kind of the frequencies that we're really talking about. Those are the frequencies that are going to punch through in your kick. So they're the thump, they're the thickness of it. You know, if you don't have them there, then it's just going to really sound like it's missing that low end. And so anywhere from about 250 down. So you've got to make sure that you EQ everything else out. So as an example, like a hi-hat has no business having any of that. There's no, in the hi-hat, there's no frequency down that low end. So put a high pass filter on it. And what a high pass filter is, and you'll see it in your EQs, it's a little HP usually. What that does, it allows all the highs or the high frequencies to pass through the filter and none of the low end. So you want to put that on nearly everything except for maybe the bass and the kick, and, you know, depending on your toms and that kind of thing. But just keep remembering, you know, even if you've got synths and low basses and frequencies, the more things you have down there in that area, the more unclear it is. So you want to make sure that you pick what you want. If it's the kick and you just want a real punch, then maybe EQ a lot of those, maybe those low synths out, and some of those kind of things, because you're going to find you get a little bit more punch when you put a high pass filter and you you let a lot of the highs go through but not the lows. So you can call it a low cut as well. So that's the first thing. You've got to make sure that you EQ everything else out of the way so the kick can really kind of punch through, and the kick and the bass is pretty much the only thing. So make sure you do that high pass filter. All right, number 2 is make sure you put a side chain compressor or a sidechain gate, or just sidechain the bass. Now, what does that mean? When I say sidechain the bass, you can put a gate on it, and a gate is something that actually it allows the sound to come through and it closes. Allows it to come through, closes. Now you can set the ratio, but you can also set the speed of the gate and everything. But we're going to talk more about the compressors. So when you put a side chain on a bass, let's just say bass, every time that the kick, like you can set it so you can put a kick on another channel, or just have the kick basically trigger the compressor or the side chain, it triggers it. So every time the kick comes in, what happens is the bass, and you put it on the bass, the side chain filter on the bass goes down as the kick comes in, and then it comes in. So what ends up happening is kind of like the bass is like, it doesn't have as much of the attack because the kick is coming through, the punching comes through. Side chaining is very big, and it's very crucial to kind of learn that technique. You'll find that your bass everything just comes through so much clearer, and it's just so much more punchy. And, you know, so put that side chain on synths or anything that you've got down in that low area. Let that kick come through, and the side chain squashes down the bass for a second, and then opens it up as the attack of the kick came through. Otherwise, both frequencies are kind of like, you know, kind of hitting at the same time and they're kind of getting in the way. So now another way to do that is without sidechaining. Maybe you've decided you only want that kick to come in on that at that 60 hertz. So the kick just comes in and the bass kind of comes in at 100 or something, you know, so it's kind of like it's tapered off so there's more room for that. That's a simple way for the EQ. But if you want to do that sidechain, that's number 2. That's the second tip, or the second way to do it. To learn how to do your sidechain. It's a powerful, very, very powerful key. So, all right, number 3 is layer the kicks. So it's very easy to do layering these days. Now, if you're not sure what layering is, maybe you've got a kick that sounds a little bit thin. Maybe it's got some crunch to it or something, and you want maybe just a low, clean thud. You know, find that kick that you want. Find that kick with that thud that you want, and layer that in. So when the kick goes kick, 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 layer it in. So you grab that other kick and you line it up, or you just put it in so it goes kick, kick, kick alongside, and just make sure you zoom in close that they are coming in at the same time, because sometimes on your DAWs they move around a little bit when you commit them, or however you have them. So just make sure they're very lined up, because you're going to make that will help your attack come right through. So make sure you can layer them, and you know, that's a great key. I pretty much 90% of the time layering kicks and snares. I'm always trying to find, you know, that fatter sound. And what happens is sometimes you might use the same sample and you love it, but then after a while you're like, oh, I got to get something else. And the easiest thing is to just lay it with something else. And you're like, all of a sudden it sounds like a different kick or a different snare. So that's a really, really big key. So make sure you learn how to layer those. And one company that I would recommend is Splice. If you haven't got Splice, Splice is great. They're always uploading new samples, new kick samples. There's probably millions to pick from. There are so many samples, and so pick ones that you like and just go from there. So maybe you want something with maybe it sounds like a boot, like boots on the floor or something, like maybe it's kind of a folksy sound, or maybe you want that 808 kind of sound, or a 909, or there's so many samples up there on Splice, and you can actually create that brand new kick sound because you've layered all these different sounds. So that's a good one, layering. Number 4, if you want to have a little bit more clarity in that kick, if you want to hear that click, so I should say, if you want to hear that kick come through a little bit more, then boost a little bit of 2.5 to 3,000, somewhere around there. Every kick's, you know, a little bit different, but that, if you bump that up around 2.5K, you'll find that gets a little bit more clarity. Now, what they used to do in you know, 80s, 90s kind of you know, metal or something, when that kick is going, like you got the double kick drum, and you know it's like it's going super fast, and they want the clarity. They boosted that up a lot, and so that low frequency is kind of like, it's not as punchy. It's very kind of, but it's very clear. It has a lot of that frequency, and it's like you can hear it. It's a lot clearer. So if you want to have a little bit more clarity in your kick, it's different to punch. But if you want to have that little bit more clarity, then you can boost around 2.5. Play around there. Find that frequency that you like around 2.5, 3,000, and just bump it up a little bit, and you'll find that the clarity of that kick has really kind of comes through. But because as an example, so if you've got like those big low frequencies, those are big, and those are longer. The sound waves are a lot thicker and a lot wider. So that's why if you've got lots of kicks and it's a faster song, to get that clarity, the higher end is the waves are a lot thinner, and they're a lot faster. They're called cycles. So the cycles they're a lot faster, and so then when you boost those frequencies, makes it a little clearer. So awesome. So that was a good one. So make sure you can boost a little 2.5K, 3,000K, sorry, not 3,000K, 3K, and boost those little frequencies if you want to get that little bit more clarity. So number 5 is a slower attack on the compressor. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about compressors, because you could talk about compressors forever, and a lot of the times I'll do another video on compressors. A lot of the time compressors kind of scare a lot of people. They're like, I don't get it, you know, I don't understand it. But I'm just going to talk about 2 different things. Well, one main thing is, because we're talking about getting that punch, make sure that you're on your compressor, make sure the attack is set to a little slower, because what happens is with the attack of the compressor, what happens is when that, let's just say it's the kick drum. So the kick drum hits, and that attack jumps out and grabs it, or the attack triggers and squashes it straight away. So those transients, the first attack, that first hit, if it's on a fast attack, if the compressor, it jumps in and grabs it at the same time. Let's just say it's a super fast, the fastest, and it just locks it, hits it as soon as it comes in. What that's actually going to create, that's going to create a softer sound because the tangent didn't come through. So what are we talking about? We're talking about having more of that punchy sound. So if you set that compressor to have a slower attack, what happens is the kick drum comes in, kick, and you can hear it, and then the compressor comes in and squashes it like milliseconds later, and so you've got that transient kind of cut through, and so that's a very important element to make sure you got a punchy mix. And vice versa, if you want more of a softer mix, you don't want those transients, you want more of a softer sound, then do a fast attack, and it attacks those sounds, attacks those transients and pulls them down before they stick out or anything. So that's a really important element to kind of learn in your compressors. And just if you don't remember anything, just remember that thing, that a fast attack on your compressor will create a softer sound, and a slower attack on your compressor will allow a bit more of that punchy kind of sound. So hopefully, guys, this has been really helpful. And these are 5 elements I've been using for a long time to get thousands of the placements that I have. I've been using these elements, and once you get, it's just like anything, when you practice it, once you learn it and you start implementing it and practicing it, you just get quicker and quicker and faster, and you're just doing all this stuff, and you're not even thinking about it because knowing what that they're just tools, and you're just trying to get that sound. So please, if this has been really helpful to you, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Really helps us grow the channel. We're trying to get to the big 1,000. So please like and subscribe down below, and head over to my website at thesecrets2musicsuccess.com and download my free PDF on mixing tips and pop songwriting. I got a bunch of cool things there, and have a little look around. What I offer on my course is a mentorship program where I actually help you. Once a month we do song feedback, so you can submit your song and I'll give you feedback on your song and help you go to that next level. And then we also, once a month, you get to sit in the studio with me virtually, and we work on a track. It takes a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, and then I do tons of replays, so it actually works out to be like 6, 7, 8 hours. But every month you get to sit in the studio and you can ask me some questions live as we record a song. So awesome. Well, hopefully this has been helpful to you, and I hope you guys have a wonderful time mixing your next track and making it more punchy.